Hey, folks, welcome to InTheMoneyStocks.com's live trading action video. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here. Today's date is Monday, June 18th, 2018. Well, first off, we got to look at Google here. Google's hitting my max target level that I gave literally weeks ago. I said this is where it's going to go. Be ready for it. And sure enough, we have just tagged it today. Take a look at the high pivot right here. And here you can see the gap fill just above this previous pivot high. And again, that's the level I said if you're going to start accumulating a short. I wrote an article about this last week. I talked about how the risk was minor because basically you have a double top right here. Any close above it, you stop out for, $15 loss on Google versus the downside reward. You have a target here and then a target here and then actually a secondary target down here as well. So a lot more reward to the downside, especially considering how overbought Google is. And again, I think Google is a short today at that gap fill. That's where I called it out, and that's where it should be shorted. And sure enough, we're already starting to come in just a tad here on light volume on this Monday. And again, Mondays in June and July and August, usually very, very quiet. If you think about it, Wall Street traders, those, wherever they are in the world, frankly, but summer months are notorious for going to the Hamptons, going to the Jersey Shore, wherever else they live. They're going and enjoying the weekend with their family or their friends. They're drinking a fair amount. Mondays are always what we call a hangover day. It's a slower paced day where there's not a lot of volume, so therefore the upside is favored, especially in a bull market like this where the small investor is still getting coached or coaxed into the market by the big institutions and talking heads on TV. All right, a couple other charts I'm following, guys. Take a look at OLED here. OLED starting to break down. We alerted and bought it down here and had this big pop up. It was a beautiful trade. It's now starting to come back in after we took our profits a while back. I think it's going to go lower. I have a secondary target buy level right here on it. So you're looking at around the, let's see here, the $74, $73 level as a buy target on OLED. Another chart I want you to focus on is Facebook, guys. Facebook hit a high of $199.58. Last week I said it would go to $200 and then it would top out. I still think it needs to pierce 200, so that could be happening tomorrow. But what I find fascinating is that we're starting to see big name tech stocks max out. Netflix did it last week. All right, Netflix maxed out on that crazy, ridiculous, shady upgrade from Goldman where some of their buddies had big positions and needed to unload, so they jacked it up with a major upgrade. But this week, now we're seeing on Monday, Google max out. Facebook is very close to maxing out. Amazon is pretty much into a resistance level here. If I show you the Amazon chart, look at this. Connect this high pivot to this little high pivot here, and you're just a little bit underneath that, so it could go a little bit higher on Amazon. But again, these are the big boys. Another one I want to talk about, it's not really considered a big boy. It's just a cult following stock. But take a look at the run in Tesla, and Tesla, again, has a little bit more upside to this triple top, and then it becomes a short-term swing trade, short trade, right off that level. So again, keep an eye on these things, folks. Very interesting price action. Markets open sharply lower today. If we go back to the spiders, let's take a look at that on the intraday chart. I'll bring up my 10-minute chart here. And there you can see it. Very much like Friday. Friday we sold early and then floated up on light volume. Today, same thing. We opened lower and then floated up. All of this, the gap downs are being caused by worried global traders on the trade war. And this is very interesting, folks, because you have traders from Asia, you have traders from Europe. They're the ones that are trading usually on the overnight session, all right, in the futures, the ES futures, which are open almost 24 hours a day. And that's what you're seeing. So you can see a lot of people outside of the United States are very fearful about trade wars with China and Europe and all this kind of rhetoric between Canada and the U.S. and Trump and so forth. And then you have the U.S. people coming in and buying the market on the gap down. That will only last so long. All right, eventually that's going to be exhausted, and if the fear continues globally, it will overtake, and the fear will start to emerge in the U.S. Again, as we get closer to my cycle date, which is coming up here, you're starting to see these types of rumblings occur. And again, we're not seeing the really big selling yet because the cycle date hasn't arrived, the cycle period hasn't arrived, but I do think it is on the horizon based on the calculations I've done, and people should be aware that once you get into July, look for some more volatility. Obviously, around July 4th, I expect it to be very quiet the week of July 4th, but I'd say after that, that's when the bigger moves will start to take place. And I like the fact that you're already seeing the rumblings in the market now as we see them, on these gap downs the last few days on the spiders and so forth. Even though they're not huge sells, you're still seeing some good price action there. Okay, Other than that, I don't have a whole lot else. There's a 7-day free trial to the Research Center. I'm just about to put out a new trade, so get involved there. I also have an options alert, so if you're interested in an options trade, I'm just about to put it out there. For the Research Center, there's a 7-day free trial. Get involved, folks. Again, this is money that you should be setting your portfolio up right now to profit exponentially, just like we did in January. We set our portfolio up and had a huge profits through late January, February, March, and April. And then it started to get quiet in May into June here, but it's setting up for the next big move. Get involved, folks. This is where it's at. Come join us. Take the 7-day free trial at inthemoneystocks.com.